Today, I'm breaking down the exact ingredients in my PuckerFuel sour pre-workout and why I chose them at these doses. When making this pre-workout, I did a lot of research to put together this formula and just to put together all the ingredients that work at the right doses and still keeping it relatively simple. Very simple, just 7 ingredients. We have citrulline at 6 grams, tyrosine at 5 grams, beta-alanine 4 grams, betaine anhydrous 2 grams, taurine 1 gram, theobromine 400 milligrams, and caffeine anhydrous 350 milligrams. And I just wanted to quickly state that I'm going to be going over the 1 scoop. This is where you get the real maximum effect of these ingredients. If you're taking just half a scoop from this formula, yes, there will be performance enhancements, but if you're taking a whole scoop, that's where you get all the benefits. First ingredient, L-Citrulline. So obviously there is a choice when choosing L-Citrulline for your pre-workout. You can either go with L-Citrulline or citrulline malate. Generally, both L-Citrulline and L-Citrulline malate do basically the same thing. In most pre-workouts, the difference is not there. So that's why I just went with the pure form, just L-Citrulline, not a blend of L-Citrulline and malate. Now, what exactly L-Citrulline does, when you intake L-Citrulline, it converts into L-Arginine, then arginine basically activates the production of nitric oxide. And if there's more nitric oxide, there will be better blood flow, reduced muscle soreness, and sometimes improved endurance. So this is why L-Citrulline is mostly known for that pump effect. It's a vasodilator, meaning it widens your blood vessels, meaning more blood can be supplied to your muscle. So this is our main pump ingredient in the formula. Obviously, there were a couple other choices that I could have picked, such as I could have taken arginine, arginine silicate, I could have taken nitrosogene. So these are other ingredients that also increase your blood flow, your pump. But I believe that citrulline is the best ingredient out of all of these. And then also we have a study here, critical review of citrulline malate. Here they had small but consistent gains, improved repetition and strength, and they took around 8 grams of citrulline malate. This would convert to about 5 grams of just pure citrulline. So in my formula, you can see we take 6 grams of L-citrulline, so that would be completely enough for these benefits that are shown in this study. And then a slight segue into why I took this dose. So most of the studies found that somewhere between 5 to 7 grams of citrulline is the best for performance enhancing. And obviously I could have just put in more. I could have gone with 7 grams in the formula, but it also kind of becomes redundant to the point where there's no point. That just means you're taking more powder, you're paying more, and you're not getting more of that effectiveness. And here we have another study. So this was citrulline malate's impact on bench press performance, where they took 6 grams of citrulline malate and they had enhanced repetition in a statistical significance. As well as some subjects found that they had muscle soreness reductions. Again, for this study, if they used 6 grams of citrulline malate, that is about 4 grams of just pure citrulline. Me having 6 grams in the formula is completely enough, and it will give you that pump, that blood flow, and possibly some performance enhancing effects such as increased endurance, increased strength. Next up, we have L-Tyrosine. L-Tyrosine in this formula we have at 5 grams. Fundamentally, what tyrosine does, it's a precursor to dopamine. So this is meant for you to feel happier and also possibly have some cognitive benefits. L-tyrosine is basically a conditional amino acid. Basically what that means is our bodies don't need L-tyrosine, but sometimes our L-tyrosine may get depleted, and if we supplement with more tyrosine in these depleted states, then we can perform better. Because if it's depleted, then we perform worse. And that's what you also see in this study right here, effect of tyrosine supplementation on clinical and healthy population under stress or cognitive demands. They obviously found that tyrosine could affect the neurotransmitters, so it just improved how your neurotransmitters work. It also had an effect on cognition, and they then concluded that tyrosine improves cognition when neurotransmitters are intact but temporarily depleted. So this may come from stressful situations. During your workout sessions, your cognition also may decline from short-term high intensity stress. So then supplementing with tyrosine can improve your dopamine, your mood, and your cognition in these circumstances. And then talking about the dosing, yes, 5 grams is mostly the upper end, but what we see in most studies is that people take tyrosine more chronically. So meaning they take tyrosine every single day. However, if you're not taking tyrosine every single day and you just take it once, let's say twice in a week, just to increase your performance for 2 times a week when you go to the gym, then you need to take higher levels of tyrosine. In most studies, they used around 3 to 5 grams of tyrosine to increase cognition under stressful situations, but it mostly depends on your weight. The heavier you are, the more tyrosine you're going to have to take. The lighter you are, the less tyrosine you can take and be okay with. And then we have another study here. Tyrosine improves cognitive performance and reduces blood pressure in cadets after 1 week of a combat training course. So here they actually used tyrosine for performance, for physical performance. And they found that tyrosine was great for memory and tracking. It was great for decreasing blood pressure, and it also mitigated stress. So decreased stress, increased dopamine, increased memory and cognition. Oh, and one last benefit that I did not mention is that it may also increase alertness. There's a bit less evidence on this, so don't really depend on it. Next up, we have beta-alanine, and I put in about 4.2 grams of beta-alanine. This is also a pretty high dose, but I will explain that later. First of all, what does beta-alanine actually do? It basically increases carnosine levels in your body. Carnosine levels improve intracellular buffering. It basically delays fatigue. When you're working out, obviously your muscles are going to build up lactic muscle. That is what we call fatigue. That is what we call soreness the next day. Beta-alanine is going to buffer that lactic acid so that you can work out for longer and you can perform at maximum level for longer. Here we have a study, beta-alanine supplementation to improve exercise capacity and performance. Beta-alanine shows a significant overall ergogenic effect. So this basically means that it is a performance enhancer and that it can increase your performance. And the best thing about this study right here is that it's a systematic review and a meta-analysis. So it's an analysis of many studies. Here they studied 40 studies. So they looked at a data of 40 studies and concluded that beta-alanine is great for performance enhancing. Now let's move on to the dosing. So this one I want to talk about a bit more in depth. Why did I pick 4.2 grams of beta-alanine? This is a quite high dose. This is a quite high dose. Basically, the caveat with beta-alanine is that you need to load it. So you need to take beta-alanine consistently for weeks, for months. 4.2 grams is the perfect dose where you can take beta-alanine, where you can take this pre-workout either every single day or every other day. and still the loading phase is going to happen. The loading, you're going to get the performance enhancing effects even if you take this pre-workout every other day. The great thing with taking this pre-workout every other day is that then you don't get affected by taking caffeine every single day, because taking caffeine every single day may not be good for you. You get addicted to it and then the performance enhancing effects decrease. Now, because there's a shit ton of beta alanine, you can basically take this pre-workout every other day and you will get the loading effects of beta alanine. Now, the range of the dose that people take in these studies is between 2.4 grams and 6.4 grams. So these are the studies that show that it actually works. For example, we have a study here, beta alanine for improving exercise capacity, muscle strength, and functional performance of older adults. Supplementation linked to enhanced exercise capacity, and they used about 2.7 grams per day. So 2.7 grams every single day. You see, 2.7 grams is about half the dose that is in my pre-workout. And they took it every single day. So that means you can take my pre-workout every other day and get this same effect, this same benefit. Small caveat about beta alanine is that when you first start to take beta alanine, you will feel this tingling sensation in your body. It may feel uncomfortable for some people. It basically feels like ants crawling across your skin. It may feel uncomfortable, but after some time, this sensation goes away. So if you keep taking this pre-workout, that sensation will go away if you don't like. Besides that, beta alanine works. It has been shown by over 40 studies that it works. It does increase your exercise capacity, mostly for endurance athletes. So specifically if you're training for longer than an hour or up to 2 hours in the gym, this is gonna be for you. And the 4.2 grams dose is completely fine. Next up, Betaine Anhydrous. This I put in at 2 grams, and I honestly think that's a solid amount. It has been compared to be similar to creatine. So if you know what creatine does, it basically draws water into your muscles and it increases strength, increases endurance. Betaine Anhydrous has been linked to be similar to that. So it's a methyl donor, it's an osmolyte, and some studies suggest improved strength, power, and body composition with multi-week dosing. And mechanisms proposed is that it increases creatine production, cell volume effects, and works through hormonal paths. Here we have a study on effects of betaine supplementation on power, performance, and fatigue, and they found that squat endurance and quality significantly greater reps. Betaine improves squat endurance and rep quality within 7 days, meaning we see kind of the same effect as beta alanine, meaning you have to load it for a couple days, maybe a week, for it to actually increase your performance. But in a couple other studies, we do see that taking it just once and then not taking it for quite a long time can also increase performance, increase your strength. Now, why 2 grams? That's because, again, I'm basing this off the studies, and most studies show that around 1.25 grams to 2.5 grams per day in most cases is the best range. To also kind of support my dosing range, so here we have a study on betaine supplementation improves CrossFit performance and increases testosterone levels. And here they say utilize betaine supplementation at studied dosages 2.5 grams to 5 grams per day to enhance grip strength and testosterone. So yes, as I said, the Betaine Anhydrous could be a bit higher, but this is just one study. Most studies suggest a range between 1.25 to 2.5. Next up, we have taurine. And taurine is one of those ingredients that are pretty popular, meaning good thing is that it means that they work. It means that they have a shit ton of studies behind them showing that they work. Taurine, most popularly known for being in monster drinks. So monster drinks have taurine as well. Basically, the main effect of it is increased endurance, increased power, and increased recovery. Such as this study right here, Taurine in Sports and Exercise, where they used around 1 to 3 grams per day, and they found that VO2 max had improved. So this is mostly for endurance athletes. This will be good. Aerobic and muscle improvements. So reduced muscle damage markers across multiple studies, and decrease in lactate, creatine kinase, and phosphorus and inflammatory markers. So it basically, tyrosine has a bunch of benefits. And again, this study, I want to say that it's based on 19 peer-reviewed studies. So this is again one of those studies where it compiles a bunch of studies and then tells you if tyrosine or if taurine is worth it or not. And in this case, it is. Talking about the dosing, so why 1 gram? Again, mostly because of the studies. Most studies, as I said, use somewhere around 1 to 3 grams of tyrosine, and they found that it works. The main takeaway from tyrosine being that you can expect modest task-dependent effects. So some meta-analysis indicates small to moderate acute improvements across tasks. And in the gym, this can be seen through increased strength, increased power output, or perhaps increased cognition. Next up, we have theobromine at 400 milligrams. And theobromine is an interesting ingredient. Basically, some studies have found that it has similar effects to caffeine in the case that it stimulates your central system, but it's a lot milder. So caffeine does this very strong. It stimulates your central nervous system very strong. Theobromine has similar effects, but a bit milder, a bit less. And some side benefits are here: vasodilation, possible mood increases, arousal increases. So here we have a study on theobromine in healthy volunteers, and theobromine increased heart rate. So that basically shows that it's a stimulant, and it increased alertness, similar to caffeine, as well as some mood effects, varied with doses. To kind of sum it up, this ingredient is mostly for mood, alertness, and central system stimulation. Now, why 400 milligrams? That's because most studies show that 400 milligrams is okay. So most studies show that at low doses, theobromine has no effect, and at very high doses, theobromine is actually bad for you. So then we can look at the same study that I just talked about. In this study, they used 3 groups. They used one group where they took 250 milligrams, one group where they took 500 milligrams, and one group where they took 1000 milligrams of theobromine. What they concluded is that theobromine's effects were positive at lower doses and negative at higher doses. So meaning 1000 milligrams of theobromine is going to be bad for you. If we go somewhere around the 500 milligram range, a bit less, 400 milligram range, that's where theobromine shines the brightest. That's where it's the best. Fundamentally, what can you expect from this ingredient? Mostly mood. Just feeling a lot better when you're doing hard work. So if you're in the gym and you took theobromine, it's going to be easier to perform hard exercises. Your mood is just going to be better. As well as on the side, your central nervous system may get stimulated. You may feel more alert. You may perform better in strength exercises, in endurance. But that's kind of on the side. And then lastly, we have caffeine. Caffeine at 350 milligrams. And caffeine, I mean, do I have to talk much about caffeine? Caffeine is the strongest ingredient in this whole formula, and it is the most proven ingredient in this formula. Caffeine obviously improves endurance, improves strength, improves power, improves alertness, decreases perceived exertion. It has all of these benefits, and all of these benefits have been shown through many studies. Like if you look at this whole formula that I'm making, caffeine probably contributes 50% of the performance increasing effects in this formula, because caffeine is just that good. If you need a study, you can look at this meta-analysis here, effects of caffeine intake on muscle strength and power. This is again an analysis of studies. So they looked at 10 studies here, and they found in the summary, caffeine reliably improved maximal upper body strength and power output. And if we're talking about mood, then there are a shit ton of other studies, not gym specific, which also show that caffeine does increase alertness, mood. It also increases how you feel if you have not slept well the last night. Caffeine just has all these effects. Now let's get to the elephant in the room. Why 350 milligrams of caffeine? This is a high dose. This is a high dose, I will admit that. But what most studies have found for specifically gym, for exercise performance, is that using around 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram is the best dose range. So then if an average person at 70 kilograms takes about 5 milligrams of caffeine per kilogram, that's about 350 milligrams of caffeine. That's why I chose this dose. Yes, you can have some small performance increasing effects if you use less, if you use something like 50, if you use something like 100 milligrams of caffeine. But if you want specifically exercise performance increasing effects, you need to take a significant amount of caffeine, and then you will see these benefits. If you're a bit lighter, then yes, take a bit less. If you're a bit heavier, then take a bit more. But this is the range where you want to be for performance increasing effects, and this is why I put this amount in the pre-workout. So simply, the sum up, caffeine is an ingredient that works. I don't need to say more. It works, and I put it in at a high dose, pretty high dose, compared to a normal person. If a normal person took 350 milligrams, they're gonna be tweaking out. But if you want to increase that performance, then this is what you should be taking. And that basically sums up every single ingredient in this pre-workout. And I just want to state that I have engineered this formula specifically for its synergy. So it gives you the pump, it gives you the focus, the cognition, and it gives you the energy. Simply put, all the ingredients in this formula just work together. That's why this formula is great. That's why I made this formula like this. Caffeine plus citrulline is the central drive plus better blood flow. Beta-alanine increases buffering capacity. Betaine supports power and strength. Tyrosine helps your cognition and decision making. And taurine may support central stability. Theobromine provides mild additional vascular effects. If you want to know more about this pre-workout, you can go to PuckerFuel.com. That's where there will be more information on this pre-workout. So definitely go check that out. But besides that, yeah, that's the whole breakdown of every single ingredient in this pre-workout and why it works. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.